We appreciate you making the time, and sorry for the technical hitch over there we had a few minutes ago. Yeah, introduce yourself, Billy. Tell us who you are, and maybe just briefly about the staffing agency that you run, and then we'll begin from there.
Okay, thank you so much, Gladys, for having me on this platform. My name is Billy Tanui, and I am a nurse anesthetist by profession. I live here in Missouri, Kansas City. Not Kansas, it's in Missouri side. Okay. I've been here in the US for since 2005. This year will mark 20 years since I came to the US. And I want to say that I have been blessed enough to have the opportunity to be here. And it all started with just that one application through a school to get an I-20. I went to the embassy twice. I got a visa the last time I went there. That was in November of 2004, I think. And then I came over this way right after the big tsunami, if you guys remember, in Japan. So that is when I came over to the US. That was December of 31st of 2004. So really, I've been here since 2005, I would like to say. So over the years, obviously, I came here. I met a community of people that were able to shepherd me, especially particularly my sister that was here, that was able to help me out and just show me the way or the direction to take in terms of being in school and staying in school. And I remember that one time I wanted to just kind of leave school, but she really persisted and helped me out. So community is important as far as who you know and who you associate yourself with in order to be able to make progress when it comes to being in the US, because you're independent, you're a free thinker, and sometimes you make mistakes or you may do things that may not necessarily be a good thing for you. So with that said, obviously, like I said, I'm an anesthetist, and long story short, I did go into nursing school when I came to the US. And I went through all the steps of being a nurse. From started off with being a CNA, and then kind of worked my way up to being a doctorate in nurse anesthetist currently. So, with that said, I know there are many people out there that would love to come and either go to school in the US or work in the US. And over the years, 2 years ago, we kind of, well, let me kind of go back. 3 years ago or 4 years ago, this was in 2019, we were able to be lucky enough to have some nurses from Nandi County come to the US to shadow for about 3 months. And that was really a stepping stone to what we are doing today because we saw that there was a need for actually nurses to come this way, just shadow and then come and then go back. The goal was to have nurses do like an exchange program between the U.S. nurses and nurses in our regions, whether it's Nandi County or Kenya in general. That was the goal. So it was a successful project, but then the nurses went back, and of course, then COVID happened. So when COVID happened, there was a lot of nurses that were obviously leaving the workforce, a big shortage of nurses here in the US, and others were retiring, and most nurses also were just, got sick, and some also passed away from just the pandemic itself. So this created a big shift, of course, in the shortage of nurses in the US, and that shortage still persists up to today. There's a big shortage of nurses in the US, but I know that we have a surplus of nurses outside of the country. And I say surplus, and that is important because sometimes people think that we're just going to get nurses out of those countries to bring them here and then drain those countries of their resources. And that's not the case. We know that in the case of our own country, Kenya, there are many nurses that don't have work, right? So with that said, I think some of those nurses can be, put to use somewhere else in the U.S. In hospitals in the U.S. And that's what we do as a company. Our company name is Element Staffing, and we do recruit nurses internationally to come and work in the U.S. Of course, they have to follow the legal pathways. I'm not a lawyer, but obviously, um, I've been able to work with credible lawyers who can talk about the steps and the processes of how that looks like. So I'm going to talk as just an owner of Element Staffing, In terms of legal things, I will leave those to the people that understand what that is. So the reason why we started LMS staffing is just one or two reasons. One is because most nurses, when they were able to get to an agency that perhaps came and recruited them over in wherever they were, and even though it's a good thing, I think we have so many agencies that recruit nurses, and that is a great thing for people to be able to come and work here. There were some that were complaining though about just if they wanted to leave a contract that they had signed, the fees were exorbitant. There's a lot of fees that they had to pay back to the agencies, and rightfully so, because they've spent so much money, obviously, trying to file for your paperwork and all those things. The other thing also that caught my attention was the fact that a lot of nurses, when they came here to the US, they really did not know or have any community. They did not know how to start up their journey. They did not know how to navigate the systems in the US. And that kind of, made me feel just bad for them or sorry for them, because you've just been thrown into a place that it's new. There's a lot of cultural changes. There's a lot of just language changes. There's a lot of just legal things that perhaps you may not know. Even driving on the roads, we drive on the left side of on the right side of the road. You guys drive on the left side of the road. Being able to get to even the grocery store, to the bank, to everything that you need to just get your foot established in the US. Some nurses were, had some setbacks, and that is why we came in. And our goal is to make sure that we work with nurses to make sure that from day one, when we recruit them, to the day that they land here and go into the workforce, we are being diligent in terms of making sure that they are getting what they deserve, and also being able to come to a place where there is a community for them, so that they are not lost in the weeds, or they're not stressed out by the systems, because the systems in the US can stress you out for sure. I mean, it's a very fast-paced country, and there are things that you just have to know, or know people, or just be able to be in a place where you can ask questions to people. And we understand that. We understand the culture of our nurses when they come here. We understand the opportunities that they may need. We also understand that there are things that they need that somebody else may not necessarily understand. So that's how we came in. So our goal is to recruit nurses generally to come here and work in the US. And we also recruit international nurses that are here in the US who came through an F1 visa to come and study here. So once they graduate from school, they get what is a work permit called OPT. Excuse me. When they have that, then we can get them into the workforce, basically for green card sponsorship through employers. I want to mention something that's important. We do direct hire recruiting. We recruit when we get a nurse, we pair them with a hospital, and they basically sign a contract with a hospital versus signing a contract with an agency. So we're basically eliminating that hassle and the burden of the nurse having to pay back money to an agency for whatever reason that they had to sign a contract with an agency. And I'm not saying that all agencies are bad. There are great agencies out there, but we're just providing something different for people that are wanting to pursue this goal or pursue their career in terms of nursing is concerned.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you for expounding on that. So two follow-up questions. No,
Yeah.
it's not question per se, but it's just to commend you. Number one, on getting where you've gotten to, because I know it's not something easy. It took some time to
Yeah.
prepare, and then also, like, even after you went through the process and you saw there is a gap, there is a gap, and you went in starting your own agency to kind of fill that gap. So that is really
Mhm.
commendable. So the second question I want to follow up, now that you've talked about agencies, and I know a couple of nurses in my circle, and they've talked a lot about various agencies, and I've also had that difference in contracts and whatever. And I know there are so many of them, but just to avoid scamming, or like someone getting into a trap, maybe signing a not so good contract. So assuming I'm a nurse, say in Kenya, and I'm really excited about the prospect of going abroad, and I've gotten an agency. They've given me a contract to sign. what should I be watching out for? Like, what would you say would be like red flags that they should be watching out for before they sign and commit to a contract?
Well, so obviously, I just want to let me just say this outright, because most of these agencies, obviously, they spend a lot of money in terms of, some of these agencies spend money and they give nurses the opportunity to, first of all, go through the process. It's not a cheap process, right? So you have to do IELTS, then you have to do verification of your nursing license, verification of your transcripts, and then you have to do fingerprinting. Then you have to and basically register with this, state board of nursing for whatever state, and then you have to do the NCLEX itself. That costs money, right? And some of these agencies upfront will provide those resources for the nurse to pursue that goal. And that is a great thing. That is something that most nurses may not necessarily have the money to pay for those things. Now, when you do that, the borrower is always subject to the lender, right? So once you've already been put in that situation, you really don't have a wiggle room in terms of, saying or determining what comes up next in terms of where you go, or in terms of, what what that contract will look like. So, to my suggestions, usually what we do here as Element Staffing is this: we recommend that nurses, if you have the resources, it doesn't cost that much. It may seem like a lot of money and upfront, because usually from the time you do IELTS, which is the English proficiency exam, to the time that you do the NCLEX examination, it'll cost you about, and I'll talk in terms of dollars, this will be about $1,200 to $1,400 and that is so that's roughly about what, 250,000 Kenyan shillings. Okay. I would say you rather find resources for that and work your way through to NCLEX, and then be free in terms of being able to sign up with hospitals or sign up with agencies like ours that would really link you up to a hospital directly. That way, you are working directly for a hospital. And I'm saying that because that is our model, and it's a different model than other places, because some agencies will have you sign contracts that you may not be able to get out of. Once you get out of it, or before you get out of it, you'll have to pay a lot of money to them, and sometimes they will hold on to your CGFNS account or whatever account, so you don't have access to it, and you will not be able to go somewhere else if you wanted to. So some of the red flags to me would be when you cannot access your own documents, as far as like CGFNS documents, or you cannot access your own account. That is one thing, because that is a tool that most agencies will use to hold on to you so that you cannot go anywhere else. We do not do that. We do not hold on to anybody's accounts. We just make sure that we will let you know what we're doing, and upfront, you have access to your information on CGFNS per se, and we are agents or authorized agents at CGFNS. Personally, I am, so that I can call and follow up. If something is delaying, I can call CGFNS and check and see what the progress is, and what happened to someone's documents when they sent them over to Philadelphia. We can make phone calls, because it's easier for me to call from here than for somebody in, let's say, in Kenya, Zambia, or any other country to call to the US, because it's expensive also. So that's why we've taken the burden of doing that, to make sure that we are doing due diligence to all the nurses that we have on our list. And we have so many of them that we've been able to call and make sure that we are actually making sure that they're making progress when they send documents to Philadelphia. And then from there, we also work with them to make sure that they get fingerprints over. But it's a tedious process, but it's a workable process when you have the right people behind you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Before I ask the next follow-up question, I just wanted to take the time to the guys who are watching us on live stream and to apologize, because I think that the live stream link that I shared initially, we were not able to use that one. So welcome, and you guys type the questions while we speak. I'll be watching out. I'll be watching out on my computer the questions, and then I'll read out at the end, so you guys can share the questions that you have. So Billy, I want to understand, our audience can understand what the procedure is like for element staffing. So assuming I want to, how does this process break it down for us? So I'm a nurse. I have I think you need someone to have license, and I think you've spoken about. I don't know if you need someone to have NCLEX done already and IELTS done already, but like just walk us through the process. Like a nurse, I'm interested. I've just completed my studies, or I'm at the end of my studies, and I'm thinking about these opportunities in the US. So how should I contact you? And then once we get in touch, like do you do interviews? And then just summarize like the whole process for a prospective nurse.
Okay. So, you can contact us. First of all, our email is info@elementshealthstaffing.com. That's our email. Our website is www.elementshealthstaffing.com, and you can find links on there that you can actually fill out a form that will come straight to me or to our team. We also have an office in Eldoret that is up and running 5 days a week from 8 to 5 p.m. We have 2 individuals there, our team members, that will be able to help and guide you through. Okay.
Ah,
So
where where are the offices in Eldoret?
we have our office just adjacent to Tamasha. There is a building there that's adjacent to Tamasha, and that's where we have our office.
All right. So actually, let me. Sorry to cut you, but I was just trying to. The guys who are on the live stream, let me just share, and I think I can see the email at the end at the bottom of your
Mhm.
website. So let me just share the link to the
Right.
website for the guys who are in here. Check for that. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. So yeah. So that's our contact information. And next is if you are. So what are the steps to go through this process? So first of all, you have to be a nurse. Okay. Number two, you also have to have some experience, at least 2 years of experience. Currently, we have employers that are looking for at least 5 years of experience, medical, surgical, nursing. So that is the opportunity that's available right now is 5 years of experience if you worked in medical, surgical, nursing, and you work obviously in a hospital. But the key to this really is experience. If you have at least 2 years of experience, and then now I will talk through the steps. These are almost 5 steps that you have to go through. One is you have to do English proficiency exam, which is either IELTS or TOEFL. Now, some states don't require you to do IELTS. There are states that will honor the fact that you were educated in English and that your books were taught or the syllabus were taught in English. So some states will not recognize that. But remember, when you come to work in a state like Missouri, for example, they will require you to have English examination. So that will need to be done at some point throughout this whole process. It doesn't have to be the first thing, but it has to be done at some point, depending on where you go to work. Number two, so basically we have to verify that, not me, but generally most states will have to verify that you have an active nursing license and also your transcripts. And this is done through CGFNS as a company that most states use. Some states will use Joseph and Sinley and other platforms. Well versed and aware of what CGFNS requires, and that's mostly what we go through. Okay, so that step requires that you have an account at CGFNS, and then there are payments that are required. CGFNS requires $485 to actually just get to do the verification of your nursing license and transcripts. Once that is done, you get a certificate called CES report, and that is sent directly to the state that you chose to want to do NCLEX through. Okay. Next, after that is basically you want to register or apply or make an application to the state of your choice. Let's say it's Texas, Missouri, Kansas. So you have to make an application saying that you want to do NCLEX through examination. So you make an application, and then that state will also require you to do fingerprints. So then you will go to either DCI or police station. We have fingerprint cards in our office in Eldoret that we can send to you that you can take to the DCI or the police station, and they can fill those out, and then you can send them over. Another thing that goes hand in hand with the fingerprints will be there is a form that comes from the fingerprinting company that comes to your email that you need to print that has a barcode specifically for for you as the candidate. There's a barcode that needs to also be sent together with the FBI card that comes to the fingerprinting company in Tennessee, which is called Ident2Go. After that, basically, the next thing, once everything is approved as far as your CES report, your fingerprints are received, your application is okay, then you need to also register through Pearson View, which is the company that administers the NCLEX examination. Okay, so you have to, that is $200 to pay for that. And once all of those things are done, then the next thing you will get from whatever state is the authorization to test, basically meaning you've been authorized to take the NCLEX examination. So then you schedule your NCLEX exams through your Pearson View account, and you can actually do your, if you're in Africa, you can do your NCLEX exams in Nairobi or South Africa. Or if you're in Europe, you can go to any other country that offers NCLEX, Philippines, obviously, India. And once that is done, once you've done and passed NCLEX examination, then our goal, obviously, we've been with you the whole time. Our goal then next is to find an employer that hires or will want to hire you as a candidate, based off of if you have a good experience, based off of you've passed the NCLEX exams, and based off of the fact that we've seen your resume, we've sent it to the employers, and then they will go from there and they will go ahead and reach out to you and extend, obviously, interview, maybe extend an interview and obviously extend an offer letter for you to be able to start the process of transitioning to come over this way. That takes a while. Obviously, we know that right now there is something called retrogression, and according to my my sources that that are in the legal world, they say that retrogression is basically meaning that there are so many applicants to the number of visas available. So then once that number of visas is reached, then you have to go to the next year. That is why we have this delay of almost 2 years, maybe 3 years. So there's a big delay, but sometimes people want things that are very quick, and sometimes it just doesn't work that fast. Okay, so you just have to kind of be patient, work through the process, and eventually you will be able to transition over. So the employers basically that we have will take care of your immigration as far as filing for your immigration fees. So they will take care of that. Some places will also have relocation bonuses, and some places will also have training once you move over and come to the US. Obviously, there's a big change in terms of practice, in terms of culture, in terms of just navigating things. So they have some training programs that will go hand in hand with that part as well. Ours as a company is, let's say you're coming into Kansas City, we'll be able to, obviously, our team will be able to pick you up from the airport and take you over to where your hospital is located. And also, we understand that you're there. We'll make sure that you have a community where you go, and we have liaisons basically who are part of our team that we can use to perhaps take you to buy your groceries, take you to the bank to open your bank account, take you to the social security department to get your social security cards, and many other things that you may need while during your first few weeks and months while you're in the US.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for breaking that down. And I'm happy that you provided your contact details so anyone who is interested can ask more detailed questions. But I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to talk about the finances because I understand some agencies. I don't know how you split the finances because I know some agencies they will cover everything for you, but then once you get the job, then they will kind of be taking their share until they recoup whatever investment they put on you. Some will tell you you do some part of it using your own cash, and then we help you with the rest. So how is that model for you guys? How much should the prospective nurse be thinking about in terms of finances, and where do you chip in?
Okay. So our model basically is we're giving the nurse the empowerment also to be involved in their process, because sometimes I feel like everything that is free sometimes is not also good. It may be free, but it's not good. Okay. I don't think there's anything for free in this world, though, because whatever you receive, you'll also pay back at some point, right? And our model basically says you do your first part, get your NCLEX done, and then our employer clients basically will take over and do the second part of the immigration part of things. When they pay for for your immigration fees and all the fees that go along those that pathway. So like I said earlier, it's really okay. It may be expensive for some people, but some people it may not be expensive. It's roughly about maybe from $1,200 to $1,400 for you to be able to actually go through the process to actually do NCLEX itself. There is one thing that comes last, which is a visa screen. That is really the most expensive one of all, which is $700. But that one you will have to do it at some point once you've done NCLEX, and let's say you have also an employer and um, that has is willing to file for your employment-based green cards. Okay, the visa screen is needed when you go to your embassy appointment, so that will be have to be done at some point. But then remember, like I said, it may take from 1 year, 2 years to 3 years, depending on how um, the government things work. So I cannot speak necessarily to that, but I know it may take that long.
Okay.
Yeah. But then
Okay.
some places, like I said, some places will have you sign a contract of maybe in terms of hours or in terms of years. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying, just remember that you'll have to sign a contract with with a certain agency. For us, really, you don't have to sign anything with us as far as a contract because we're basically pairing you up with a hospital. You'll be able to sign a contract with the hospital versus signing a contract with us.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But
Okay.
but we're involved in your process. We're very involved. We're there to help to make sure that you're moving forward and you're doing the right things fast. Some people want to do NCLEX fast
Mm.
and do verification last. It doesn't work like that. You have to do the steps in order. And then if you do that, if you want to if you mix up the steps, then you have to sometimes redo that process. Okay.
Mm.
So that means a lot of money wasted. So we have to make sure that you're doing it the right way and the first step fast and the last step last.
Yeah. 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 That is fair
Yeah.
enough. And I have another follow-up question, but before I do that, I want to welcome anyone who is new, arrived. If you have any question, please leave it on the chat. I'm checking my computer here, and I'll read your questions. So, Billy, I'm a nurse in Kenya. Maybe I have a very interesting contract. I earn some cash. I have a family, husband and kids, or wife and kids, and I'm relatively okay. Like I'm earning some Kenya shillings. Should I consider relocating? Like from your own opinion, what is the advantages of if someone is at a fence and they are considering is this worth it? So can we talk about just where even with the experience in the state where you are, what are like salary expectations? What are opportunities that are open for them and their families and their dependents once they come over there? Yeah, just along anything along those lines.
That's a good question. So obviously, moving to a different country takes a lot. It takes leaving your community and taking on a journey that you will land into a different place, different people, different cultures altogether, different political systems. So I would say this: if you feel that you are okay where you are, sometimes moving to a different place is not necessarily the option. Okay, even though there are opportunities, outside of where you are. And some of those opportunities could be either one for you as a nurse, or your family members, or your kids. Okay. And if your kids are in a good school program, I would say that's something to consider also, because that means you're moving your children from a good school to perhaps a different place. Even though then, let's say for example you're moving them to Europe or the US, the name sounds great, but sometimes the education system may not be what you want it to be. Okay. So if your kids are in a good school, and you want to move them out of that school, you should consider those things. Moving is not for everyone, and moving is not necessarily um, something for everyone to do. Okay. This is for those that want to take the step of faith, usually, and start over in a new and different environment. And we'll welcome everybody to come if they want to come, but also we also need to consider that um, some people are just will also have to stay behind and also care for the communities that they have. You've been called in that particular position for a reason, and also those are things to consider, because when you move over, you have to almost kind of like start over. You have to find a place to stay. You have to get a car. You have to find all of these things that maybe you've always had where you are. And sometimes it can be a little bit stressful because you have a lot of bills to pay, right? So you work and then you pay bills. You pay bills. Sometimes you folks in Kenya don't have a mortgage. You don't have, you may not necessarily have like, electric bill, or you may not necessarily have all these bills that come with moving to a different location. But we do have all of those things here. Sometimes you work and you get a paycheck, your money just leaves because you're paying so many other things. So it can be stressful because even though you've moved, you think you'll get so much money, but then remember there are other things that facilitate your living that you have to pay for. Okay. So, and if you're ready to move this way, that is fine. There is, we have resources obviously, and you can find work and you can find opportunities. And don't get me wrong, there's so many opportunities out here, just for you, for your family members, for your kids once they graduate. I mean, you can be whatever you want to be, in this country, really, if you put your mind and soul and heart to it. And really, it's also on the other hand, I just want to point this out. You could move here and you probably may not even make progress because there's so many distractions as well. So many things that can distract you, particularly your kids. So many things that can be a distraction. Having been here for that many years, you have to find the right people. You have to be, close to the right, like-minded people as well. And sometimes with the freedoms that come in this country, sometimes people just misuse those freedoms and they end up in the wrong hands and they end up in the wrong place. And your trip over this way may not be necessarily worth it. So just think through it. It's something that if you have a good will, strong will, and that you're coming here to go to school, work, and basically just be a good citizen and be a good person in the community, then I think that's something you can consider to do. Yeah.
Definitely, and I think I will not be forgiven if we end before I ask this question. The elephant in the room, the NCLEX. I did a recording with a nurse who is working in a cruise ship, and she didn't have to do NCLEX. And now people are asking, is there a way not to do this thing? Because I understand there are people who've done it. I don't know, 4 times, 5 times. Yeah, what would be your advice for, because I understand it's something you have to do if you want to be signed to a hospital in the US. How would you advise anyone reading or preparing for NCLEX to I don't know, yeah, just any advice for people preparing or working through their NCLEX at the moment?
Okay, so NCLEX obviously is the national examination that most every nurse in the US has to do in order to get a license. So you will not get a license without passing NCLEX. You have to pass NCLEX. Okay, so there's no way around that one. I've never seen anybody that has worked or works as a nurse without passing the national examination. Okay, so the person that may have said that there is a wait around NCLEX, I don't think there's a way around NCLEX. We just have to be honest to ourselves, right? So you have to do NCLEX and pass NCLEX in order for you to get the license to practice in the US. Okay, that's just the bottom line. Now, as far as preparation, you also have to study. Obviously, um, some of the wordings and some of the practices in the US may be different than what you're used to. Um, safety issues, medication names and brand names and generic names. Also, just the practice itself, and also the big things. For example, even how you communicate to a patient, how you resolve conflicts. So those are the things that sometimes may be on the NCLEX questions. There is in the NCLEX, there is questions that choose all that apply. That sometimes is those are big questions, and everything may seem the same, but they may not necessarily be the correct answer. So you have to prepare and study. We have study resources for you to be able to look into if you wanted to. We'll soon send some books to the office in Eldoret. If you wanted to kind of borrow some of those books, you can. And also, there's so many other platforms online that you can purchase in order to study. There's bank questions. There is companies that provide tutoring for NCLEX preparations, and those are all great things that you can venture into, because that's an investment. It's a big investment. That's You've done all of these things, and the last thing that you need to do is NCLEX examination. So you just have to prepare and invest into it well. We have those resources that we can provide also as a company for you to be able to succeed, because we want you to succeed, because your success also reflects on our success as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that is good to know. I know we might be running out of time because you need to be somewhere else.
Mhm.
Anyone question, you leave it on the chat box. I'm seeing Brian saying, sure, there is nothing for free. Yes, I think I agree. I think for some people, I hear some people have been scammed, even with NCLEX. Like someone tells you, oh, send me this amount of dollars, and then I'll send you the questions on WhatsApp. And then people are scammed that way. So they need to know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't do it. I mean, if it's something that people are asking you for um, money for you to send them money so they can send you something, don't do it. If you want to do it, just do it yourself. Just go online. I mean, don't be lazy. Just go online, look for a resource, ask us for what resources you need, and we'll give you the names of companies that you can use in terms of preparing for NCLEX. We have some of those resources that we can share with you. um, but then sometimes also remember, it's also there's money that goes into it. So when you're given those resources, use them diligently, prepare well, study well, spend some time to study, or take some time to study, because it's a big exam, and you need to pass it in order to move forward to the next step.
For sure, for sure. And
Yeah.
guys, all the best. Samuel is asking, are you in the eastern states?
Samuel, we're not there yet. As of now, we're not in the eastern states yet. I think with time, as we grow, we're hoping to cover across the U.S. For now, we're in the Midwest. But we are working our way around to make sure that we get to some of those places in the East Coast, West Coast, up north, south. And the reason for this sometimes is that most employers have suspended their recruiting or the hiring of international nurses because of how long it takes for those nurses to be here. So a place could be investing in 20 nurses, for example, but then they will not have them here now when they need them now because they're that short. So it takes about 2 or 3 years, maybe. Yeah, that's maybe maybe 1 to 2, maybe 2 to 3 years. It can take that long. So most places have suspended recruiting, but hopefully with time, hopefully we'll see things change. Obviously, like I said, I cannot speak to the legal side of things, but hopefully we'll see some changes as we go. But for now, we've got an employer that is really interested in medical surgical nurses with at least 5 years of experience. 7 is better. With bachelor's degrees, degree holders. If you have those credentials, let me know. Send us your information, resume on our website. You can actually go to the website, or you can just send it through an email, and I'll get to it.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And any other question, of course, yeah, you feel free to do that. I've shared
Yeah,
staffing email, no address, a website address on the chat box.
correct.
So you must run, but let me ask, let me request that you talk about your session on Friday 22nd. What is the session for? And then maybe you can invite the members here.
Okay. Yeah. So this Friday we have just an info session. I like to give people information. Then they can just use it as however they like. Right. Um, like I said, I came to school here many years ago, and I came through one of the schools here in Kansas City, and it started with just somebody helping me out in terms of showing me what schools to apply. And my sister really was a big part of how I came to this country. So on Friday we have an info session where it's from a school where you will be informed on what are the necessities or the requirements that are needed for you to be able to apply to a school and get an I-20, and basically take that I-20 to the embassy and petition your case to get a visa. So we'll have an admissions coordinator that um, is willing to come on the platform to share what is required things like bank statements, things like application forms and fees, and and how do you get an I-20. So that is what she will share, and then she will also share about when you come over this way, what are some of the orientation things that you should be looking out for, and how do you get here is really what we'll be talking about. And then we'll just have a Q&A session where we can just jump in and answer some questions that are needed. But I feel like it's needed for those that are in high school. If you want to basically, look for schools and come to a school in the US to study, then this is your chance to come and listen to what you would need. Also, if you're a nurse and you want to pursue higher education, if you're a diploma holder, you want to do BSN, this is also for you as well, because there is also that opportunity for you to come and study as well. And once you study, like I said, if you have that F1 visa, once you finish school, then we can automatically just get you into work through our employers who are hiring F1 students. F1 students basically is an F1 visa. You came here as an F1 visa as a student to study. Once you finish your studies, you get a work permit. You can go to work, and some of our employers will hire you. It's called employment-based green card sponsorship. So that's what it's happening on Friday. It's going to be at it'll be at 10 o'clock my time, and I think it'll be plus 9, 7 p.m. your time, I think.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, so please come in, join us. We have, I will share with you the link to register. It's free registration. The reason for that is we just want to know how many people are coming so that we can prepare for that. Um, so I'll share with you the link so you can share with your audience as well, so that they can join in on Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is
Good.
yeah,
Yeah.
so Billy, thank you for the time as we end. Any last piece of advice for us, for I don't know, maybe for my audience, or maybe if you want to speak to nurses particularly?
Well, I would say this, and Gladys, thank you for the opportunity to be able to share this. I would say, seek information and find out the right information, and we are open to sharing that information with the audience. We're not jealous, we're not envious of anything. We just want to share with you the information and use it so that you're informed. I feel like information is power, right? And we're here to provide a different platform where you don't necessarily see something like this, where we share the pathways to your success, and also giving you opportunities to also have other members of your community, maybe whether it's school, whether it's work. We'll be happy to always provide that information, and you can always just make informed decisions. That's what we're here for, and we would like to for as many people to be informed, and then from there they will be able to make the right decisions and the right choices. So as Element Staffing, we take pride in what we do. We've been doing this for almost 2 years now, and we hope that we can change lives. We hope that we can make sure that when people or nurses come over this way, they're coming to a place where they feel comfortable, coming to a place where they feel welcomed, coming to a place where they feel also that somebody's holding their hand and somebody's guiding them through the steps, versus just searching for the steps that they may not find. And I would say that just be patient, take your time. Don't be in a rush. These things sometimes, there's a process to what is being done. So some people have asked me, it takes a year. I said yes. Then they said that's too long. I said, well, that is the process. If you don't want it, that's okay. Somebody else will take that opportunity. So, but hopefully things will change. I mean, there's nothing is permanent. Things will change down the road. Maybe less time, maybe more time. But there is a big shortage of nurses, and we know we have surplus nurses outside the country. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Billy, and all the best with the agency and with your other ambitions and endeavors.
Well, thank you so much, Gladys, and thank you to the audience that is on here today. We hope to see you soon, or see you at some point in time down the road. And don't forget, we have an office in Eldoret that is vibrant, and we have, 2 team members in there that will be able to guide you and help you. And that number is 0739 857576. You can always call that number Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and they'll be able to get a hold of you. Or you can just reach out to us on on the website or on our email, and we'll be able to get back to you.
Billy, repeat just in case after the live stream, so people can access
Repeat what again?
the email.
Oh, the email is info@elementshealthstaffing.com. Elements with an S, healthstaffing.com. And our website is www.elementshealthstaffing.com. And you can find our email in our website. You can find our numbers in the website. So yeah. And then the phone number is 0739 857576.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And for the guys who managed to join us, and I apologize. I think I lost the initial link that we were supposed to use. But anyhow, thank you so much for making, and all the best, you guys. Bye.
All right. Thank you. Bye bye.